we've got enormous growth happening with data centres as well, and the promise that AI brings for us, this generation and our children and their children beyond that. It's really uncharted territory for us. I guess the challenge that we have is to make sure that that we do it in a manner that I guess serves everyone well, the community, business, the future generations. That is the challenge. And funnily enough, money is not a problem at the moment, which is unusual. There's an enormous amount of money that's going into renewable energy, that's going into data centres. So we need to make sure that we do this right.
It really is unprecedented at the scale of which we're seeing change, both within our sector, but also more broadly in terms of AI technology uptake and the flow-down effects of that on how we are going to go forward as a society. So I might shrink your time frame just a little, because really the opportunity is now. We talk about it being a global race. So if you saw the profit earnings reports that came out today with the big global tech companies, all of them were talking about supply constraints with infrastructure capacity. So it's not slowing down anytime soon. We're at $700 billion US investment from those 4 companies into AI infrastructure. And so Australia has a really once-in-a-generation opportunity to capture some of that, which really sets us up for a number of things.
I think that there is, as Belinda says, a huge opportunity for the economy. This can be our next wealth generation opportunity for the country and growth opportunity for the country. Baringa did some modelling for us. They modelled a pipeline based on what was in the actual pipeline that they could determine at this stage, and modelled out to a couple of scenarios out to 2035. Taking a sort of central case scenario, they estimated that power usage by the sector could go up from 1% today to 8 to 11% by 2035. And that brings with it challenges and opportunities. So if you're sort of talking about additional operating load from data centres of around 3.2 gigawatts, say, with this modelling in that period, then you need to be finding a way to get that extra 3.2 gigawatts offset in some way by renewables or sourced from new energy sources.
I think we see data centres as an enormous opportunity. They can support the grid, and if it's done well, it will support the grid. It reduces the impact of the duck curve, which makes it easier for a transmission system operator to operate the network, and it will stimulate investment in renewables, which is also a good thing. And then it also has the potential to spread the cost of the transmission system over a broader base, which will be really important. In terms of the constraints, I think the biggest challenge is probably the deliverability of it. So how do you deliver all of that transmission system upgrades? How do you deliver all of that renewables generation to meet the demands of an industry that is very fast moving and seems to have an enormous appetite for growth?
Yeah, and James, I like your point, location, location, location. It matters to so many things, and that includes water as well. If I project forward, if we're successful in servicing data centres, we move forward into a future where the data centre boom can happen and it can be powered sustainably, right? And from a water perspective, that means where data centres are using water-intensive cooling technologies, it's recycled water. Now, the good news is the interactions that we've been having so far with data centres or developers are really keen interest for those moving into this hyperscale data centre space, a keen interest in recycled water, and that's really encouraging, because our constraint is a fundamental here in Greater Melbourne, which is available drinking water supplies. As we all sit here today, we've got about 460, 470 days worth of drinkable water supply available to us. If we head into a dry pattern, even with our desalination plant switched on at full capacity, in just over a year's time, we're probably closer to 300 days of water supply. What that means, we project forward to around 2030, not very far away within these timeframes. If we don't get the catchment rainfalls that we would ideally like, and if we're going to sustain our growing population, we're looking at the prospect of up to 95 gigalitres of water supply shortfall. So to service a AI and data centre boom, recycled water is absolutely critical, because we don't think the population is going to be particularly tolerant of households being restricted while we're facilitating growth in consumption elsewhere. So what is really, really positive is our interactions on servicing the boom have been very much focused on recycled water, so far very receptive to it.